Let me tell you a story about modern warfare. But here's the thing. It doesn't start with a hacker in a dark room or a line of code. Nope. It starts with the very real, very loud roar of jet engines over the Middle East. So, picture this. It's June 13th, 2025. A series of Israeli airstrikes hit key Iranian nuclear, government, and military sites. We're talking a direct kinetic confrontation, bombs and missiles. It's a traditional act of war designed to cripple Iran's capabilities. And Iran's response? It was almost immediate. But instead of sending jets of their own, they opened up a brand new front on a totally different battlefield, cyberspace. And what came next wasn't just a bunch of random angry hacks. Oh no. It was the rollout of a very specific, highly calculated doctrine. So, how did they do it? Well, here's how we're going to break it down. First, we'll look at that jump from bombs to bytes. Then we'll get into their core strategy, the asymmetric doctrine. After that, we'll explore the real-world pillars of the shadow war, see how new weapons like AI are total game changers, and finally, land on this new reality we're all living in, the permanent hybrid war.
Okay, so let's set the stage. Those physical strikes put Iran in a really tough spot. I mean, how do you hit back against a military that's technologically superior without kicking off an even bigger, more destructive war?
Their answer was to just change the entire battlefield. See, Iran's response wasn't some disorganized lashing out. It was a very deliberate, very strategic choice. And that brings us right to the heart of this whole thing. What exactly is the doctrine, the playbook that's driving all of these cyber operations?
To really get what Iran's doing, you have to understand their playbook. It's a strategy designed for, the underdog, to let a less resourced actor punch way above their weight class.
And this right here is the core idea. It's called asymmetric cyber warfare. So what does that actually mean? Well, instead of trying to hack, say, a super defended military network, the goal is to go after the soft underbelly of a country, its civilian infrastructure. The point isn't to win some digital dogfight between military hackers. It's to create chaos, to erode the public's trust, and to land a psychological blow that's way bigger than the technical effort it took to launch the attack. And if you look here, the contrast is it's stark. Traditional cyber war, right? That's all about hitting those hard targets, government servers, military command centers, places with top-tier security. But this asymmetric approach, it's all about the civilian targets, where security is, let's be honest, often a mess. So the impact isn't one big strategic explosion. It's more like a slow, creeping pressure that wears down the public's sense of safety and normalcy. All right, enough with the theory. Let's see what this doctrine actually looks like in the real world. Because when you see how this strategy is applied, you really start to understand just how powerful it can be. The first pillar of this strategy, it is all about getting inside your head. The goal is to maximize fear and mess with the daily lives of regular people, making them feel unsafe in the most ordinary places you can imagine. And this is where it gets really chilling. An operation called Kindergarten Hijack. A group called Handala, which researchers have linked to Iran's Ministry of Intelligence, didn't go after a power grid. They hacked the PA systems in kindergartens. Think about that. The technical skill for this was actually pretty low. They just found a weakness at a private company that services these schools. But the psychological impact of threatening children in their classrooms, absolutely massive.
Okay, so if the first pillar was about fear, the second one is where the digital world literally bleeds into the physical one. This is about using cyber tools, not just to scare people, but to directly support and even improve real-world military operations.
So, check this out. Iranian operators hacked thousands of just normal, unsecured home security cameras. Why? To get a live video feed of Israeli cities so they could see exactly where their physical missiles had landed. All of a sudden, someone's Ring doorbell becomes a military intelligence tool for a foreign army. That right there is the very definition of hybrid warfare, a cyber hack directly serving a physical bomb. But here's the thing. This doctrine, this whole playbook, isn't standing still. It's constantly evolving. And right now, there are two massive forces just supercharging its potential: artificial intelligence and the shadowy world of organized cybercrime. Get ready for this number. According to the FBI's latest report, phishing attempts, those scam emails, have shot up by 4,500% in the last year. And the reason? Generative AI. It makes it ridiculously easy for attackers to craft perfect, personalized, and totally convincing lures at a scale we've never seen before. So what AI is really doing here is acting as this incredible force multiplier for asymmetric warfare. It basically lowers the barrier to entry, making sophisticated attacks way faster and cheaper. Things that used to require a huge, well-funded state intelligence agency can now be done by smaller groups, making these attacks on civilians even more dangerous. So with all these new tools, you'd probably think the biggest threat is some crazy new AI-powered superweapon, right? Well, the reality is something far more fundamental, and maybe, from their perspective, even more brilliant. Believe it or not, the most significant evolution in their strategy isn't a new piece of code at all. It's a revolution in their business model, completely changing how these operations are paid for, carried out, and most importantly, how they're disguised. Okay, this slide breaks down this game-changing tactic. You've got an Iranian state-linked group known as Pioneer Kitten. They do the hard part. They hack into a big corporate network. But then, instead of doing anything themselves, they go onto criminal forums and sell that access to the highest bidder. A ransomware gang like Black Cat buys it, launches their attack, and collects the ransom. And what happens next? Iran gets a cut of the money, funding their operations, and they get the perfect cover. They can just say, hey, it wasn't us, it was criminals.
So what's the bottom line here? What does this crazy mix of asymmetric strategy, AI, and criminal enterprise actually mean for the future of conflict?
It really all comes down to this one simple but pretty profound idea. The old lines we used to draw in the sand, they're just gone. Is the person hacking your company a spy collecting intelligence, a soldier supporting a military strike, or a criminal who's just in it for the cash? In this new model, they are all three at the exact same time.
And that leaves us with a pretty stark final thought. This isn't just a phase. This blending of physical and digital conflict, of state spies and cybercriminals, it isn't a temporary thing. This is the new normal. It's the permanent reality of modern warfare. The question isn't when will the next war start anymore. The real question is recognizing that in this new hybrid world, the war never really stops.